All right. Sunrise. The day starts. When does the day end?
Sunset.
Sunset. Correct. There's a special word for sunset in Hebrew. What's it called? You got it right? Shkia. Shkia. However, there is a definition, another definition of when the night begins. And that is, after sunset, there is something called night. When is the night? We usually refer to that as tzeit. Tzeit ha-kochavim. Kochav is star. Kochavim. When the stars come out, then it's for sure night. So what we have is a little bit of a twilight zone. Twilight. Twilight in Hebrew is between ha-shemashot. Shemashot. Bein hashmashot. Between sunset and the night. Here we have a debate how long the twilight is. Bein hashmashot. Bein hashmashot is considered to be doubtful day, doubtful night. We're not sure what it is. Now there are a lot of different opinions exactly how to calculate these different, how to navigate how long Bein Hashmashot is, when the night really begins. The simple understanding in the Talmud, it says you should light the Hanukkah candles Misha Tishka Hachama. Okay? However, the problem is when the sun just sets, there's lots of light in the sky, and you can't see the candles, or you can see them, but they don't really notice them. So that's why there are some rabbis that say you should light, as it says in the Talmud, when the sun sets. And the reason why the rabbis said it to make it so early is because that's when the traffic was. People were leaving the marketplace and coming home as soon as the sun sets. And so, even though it's not so noticeable, you can still see that people are lighting candles. But most people, they push it off a little bit. 15, 20 minutes. And then they light the Hanukkah candles with Seitar Kochavim. Seitar Kochavim. Seitar Kochavim is, some people say it's 15 minutes. Sometimes it depends what country you're in, how far north you are. It could be 20 minutes after Shkia, 30 minutes after Shkia. The standard is 20 minutes. Some people say 30 minutes. That's when the stars come out, about from sunset. So sunset today is what? 4:40. I try to light with the sunset. Usually I'm a little bit late, which is good, because then I'm closer to when it's darker. And if I had 20 minutes, so then it's 5 p.m. That's when you should light the candles. Okay? Makes sense? Now there's only one, sorry?
Until when?
We're going to talk about that soon, in the next paragraph.
Okay.
But ideally, you're supposed to light as soon as it gets dark. Like every mitzvah, as soon as you can. But especially this mitzvah, the rabbis wanted you to light when there's traffic. when people are coming back from the marketplace. We'll see that nowadays we have electric lights and people stay out. The stores are open till 7, 8 p.m. So 5 p.m., nobody's coming home. But still, the idea that it's the beginning of the night is powerful. And if possible, we try to light at the beginning of the next day, at the beginning of the evening. So at 5 p.m. is really the best time to light. However, another issue arises. Yes?
If I'm not mistaken, we need to lit the candles when the night is beginning.
Exactly. So what we're talking about, when does the night begin?
See the 3 stars.
So this is Tzeit HaKochavim, the 3 stars. Yeah, Tzeit HaKochavim is when the stars come out. Tzeit means coming out of HaKochavim, the stars. Coming out of the stars. That's what we call night. You're right. 3 stars come out about 5 p.m. Okay? On Shabbat, of course we light the candles before, but saying when Shabbat leaves, we don't say Shabbat is over until 5:15, because we're very machmir about the laws of Shabbat. We shouldn't violate the Shabbat just by accident, so we wait till 35 minutes after the sunset. So that's 5:15, 35 minutes instead of, this is 20 minutes. Another 15 minutes is 35 minutes. That's the standard custom, is that we don't take out the Shabbat until even later, till it's for sure night. But really, most poskim say after 20 minutes, it's considered Tzeit HaKochavim. That's when the stars come out already, and you can light your Hanukkah candles, unless you want to light them earlier, right, at sunset. Yes, Rabbi?
I know people, they lit the candles at sunset.
Yes, like we said, that's the original idea.
The minimum is to have the candles for 30 minutes, right?
Correct.
And sometimes it could happen when you lit the candles and the 30 minutes are over, it's still light.
Right. You have to be aware of that. If you do light early, you have to light long enough so that they last for 30 minutes. After sunset, yeah.
Can you lighten again the Hanukkah?
You can, but you can't say the bracha a second time. You should try to do it right the first time. You have to have enough oil or long enough candles so that it will last for the 30 minutes. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So we keep it simple. Some people light at sunset. Most people light at Tzeit HaKochavim. That's when the 3 stars come out. That's what's called nighttime, about 20 minutes after Shkia. Okay? Now, there's another issue. If you do like the most common custom and light at Tzeit HaKochavim, look on page 273. You have the white book? The yellow book? The Pnimei Halacha Zmanim. It's we're looking at chapter 13, section 4, we're in the middle. Another issue that arises, however, is that men are obligated to pray Ma'ariv. And many regularly do so immediately at Tzeit, when the stars come out. Now we have conflict. What do we do first? Ma'ariv or lighting Hanukkah candles? And if you light earlier, you don't have that problem. Because you're lighting when it's sunset, you cannot yet, usually you don't daven Mariv until it gets darker, because you want to say the Shema when it's dark. So he says as follows: for these men, praying Mariv takes precedence over lighting Hanukkah candles, since the former is a more constant practice than the latter. Additionally, by praying Mariv, they also fulfill the Torah commandment to recite the Shema in the evening. After praying, they should return home quickly in order to light as close as possible to Tzeit. Those who usually pray Mariv later should light candles at Tzeit and pray at their usual time. So, what's your usual time for Arvit? When do you usually pray Arvit?
Here is 7:30.
7:30. That's much later than 5 o'clock. So you light the Hanukkah candles at 5 o'clock, and you'll daven Mariv at the regular time at 7:30. But where I pray, usually I pray right after Mincha Mariv, even before Tzeit sometimes. So those people who have the regular Mariv at that time, it's okay. Say your regular Mariv, light candles right afterwards. It'll be 5:15, it'll be 5:30, that's fine. Light the candles then.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Because when we are praying the Rabbi, it's something it's coming from the Torah. But Hanukkah, it's not from the Torah.
Correct.
So, my feeling, it's number one is what we learn from the Torah.
Machon, יפה מאוד, יפה מאוד, it's true. That's why we daven Mara first and pray, light the Hanukkah candles afterwards. Even though one fulfills one's obligation as long as the candles remain lit for half an hour. Some say that nowadays, when people regularly walk through the streets well beyond the tzeit, it is preferable to beautify the mitzvah by lighting candles that will remain lit for 2 hours or more. They contend that this is a commendable practice because the people that see the candles, the more people that see the candles, the more the miracle will be publicized. What a nice custom. Don't get confused. It's not an obligation. You only need candles that last half an hour. If you want to publicize the miracle, you can extend and use more oil if you can afford it. If you can afford it. Okay? Let's continue to the question, which is on page 275, section 6, delaying candle lighting when necessary. The ideal time to light is 5 o'clock, 4:40 or 5 o'clock. You're davening Maariv right away? Okay, 5:15, 5:30. What about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night? What about midnight? What about 2 a.m.? Can you light the candles then? This is what Eitan was asking. This is the ideal time, is when evening falls. Can you delay? Let's see. Page 275, that's section 6 in chapter 13. As we have seen, in the times of the sages, the people generally returned home at nightfall. Therefore, the sages stated that the mitzvah to light Hanukkah candles extends from sunset. That's what we said. The original language of the Talmud is from sunset. That's why some people say you should light really at sunset at 4:40. Until, and we're going to focus now on the until part, until the marketplace empties out. The expression until the marketplace empties out refers to the time when the poor people who would collect leftover food from the market stalls would return to their homes. This was about a half an hour after lighting time. Okay, so it seems like from the original sources, we have a very small window of opportunity to light the candles. From sunset for half an hour. It's a very small window. However, nowadays, I continue to read in page 275, past the halfway mark. Nowadays, when there is electric lighting and most people continue working for several hours after dark, the best time to light is still the time that the sages ordained, from tzeit until half an hour afterwards. However, if one finds it difficult to return home by tzeit, he may light later. I worked in a yeshiva once, and I assumed that a yeshiva, we should light Hanukkah candles at the proper time. Proper time is tzeit. Proper time is 5 p.m. But there was classes in the yeshiva till 6, till 7. So my Rosh Yeshiva said, no, you light later. You have a job. You have to stay at work, even if it's teaching Torah. It's a very rare. Most yeshivot, they take a break, go light candles at the requisite time. But he said, even though it's a yeshiva, there's a job to be done. You've got to work. You can light candles at 7 p.m. It doesn't have to be at 5. A little bit of an extreme position, but it's justified. Even if you're not working in a yeshiva, if you're working in a bank, you're working in a lawyer's office, you're a doctor. Every job nowadays, most jobs don't finish by 5 o'clock. Sometimes you can, if you're lucky. But if you can't, if you're working, you're allowed to light later. Why? Because we have electricity, because people are still up and about. One should try to return home as soon as possible in order to light close to the ideal time ordained by the sages. Specifically, he says, one should make an effort not to light later than 9 p.m. Until then, it is standard for people to come home from work, so this period of the evening is still considered until the marketplace empties out. There's only one catch, and that is no nibbling, no snacks. One has to make sure not to eat a meal until after lighting. You can take a snack, but not a set meal. You're not allowed to have dinner before you do the mitzvah of lighting the candles. In some synagogues, a regular Torah class takes place after Mariv. And if people leave to light the candles after Mariv, the class will be canceled. In such a case, it's preferable to hold the class as usual, and the attendees should light Hanukkah candles afterward, because the mitzvah of Torah study takes precedence over the value of lighting candles at the ideal time. You see, we're being a little flexible here about this small window. Originally, it was a small window because that's when the marketplace would empty out and people would come home. But because society has changed, the way we live our lives has changed. Many people are in the streets, the stores are open till 8, 9 p.m., and people are coming back. So you can light Hanukkah candles later. Doesn't have to be at 5 p.m. exactly. If you have a good reason, if you need to. For davening Mariv, of course. For learning Torah, of course. Even though if you can't get off work and you have to finish work, that's okay. As long as you light when people are still out and about. Yes, it's Ravid.
So, you just give an answer. As long as the people are out, because they need to see the light, right?
Correct.
But now comes my question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about my dear wife. Sometimes she's
yes.
starting with her work as a nurse at 3 p.m. and she will be finished at 11 p.m.
Good question.
And at the time when she's coming home, it will be 12 o'clock, so it's midnight.
Midnight.
There are no people outside. But someone.
Right.
So, what could she do?
It's a good question. That's a good question. There are two options in such a situation.
Don't go to work.
Oh, that's not an option. You have to work, and you have to live, and you have to go to work. There's two options. One is, even at 12 o'clock at night, you can light the Hanukkah candles. Why? Some people are out, especially one person who's out. You. You can see her candles, or she can see your candles. That's enough. Some people say, even if you are by yourself, you see your candles, you can still make the bracha and publicize the miracle for yourself. It's not ideal, but in extenuating circumstances, you can light the candles even at midnight. That's one option. One option. She can light the candles when she comes home. The truth is, there's three options. The second option is she can light the candles early, even before dark. We said the earliest is Shkia, but there actually is an hour and a quarter beforehand that you're allowed to light, because the evening may start even an hour and a quarter before that. So if she leaves by 3:30, she can light the candles by 3:30. And as long as she puts in enough oil to last a half an hour after the dark, then that's option number 2. But you said she leaves at 3, that's even before that, so that's not really an option. Option number 3 is interesting.
I have an idea.
You have an idea? What's your idea?
Like me, I'm married, so I can do it for her.
Good, exactly. Agency, it's called. Shlichut.
Absolutely.
You appoint somebody.
Yes.
It could be your husband, it could be your wife, it could be your neighbor. Somebody should go to your house, either your window or your door, wherever you light, and light the candles for you. At the proper time. She can be at work, doing her job until midnight. She'll never see the candles will be out by the time she gets home, but she did the mitzvah because she appointed someone to light for her on her behalf. That's option number 3. The only problem with that one is that you don't hear the brachot. and you don't see the candles personally. But somebody else made the brachot for you. Somebody else.
What's it? Video.
You can watch it on video. It's true. That's another option. I didn't think of that, but it's not really so personal. But so there's three options: either light late, or light early, or appoint somebody to light on your behalf. But we're going to see those details presently inside. Yeah.
When you appoint someone, you must expressly say that, or
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you should appoint them expressly.
like I'm going for Kiyul, then I ask my wife if you like. Okay.
Yes, that's fine. Although most people like to light themselves. If you're going to go to Tiyul and stay overnight, that becomes your home for that night. So you can light there.
Okay.
I don't want to split up the family or anything, but ideally you should wait for your husband to come home or for your wife to come home and light together. We're supposed to bring families together, not separate them. What if it means if I light by myself at 5 o'clock, perfect, I'm home, I light the candles. The only problem is my wife is not home yet. She works till 6, till 7. What I have another situation? What if it's 5 o'clock? It's perfect. I can set up the candles, but none of the kids will be home. They're going to come home at 6 or 7 o'clock because they're at some game or show or friends. I can light at 5 o'clock, but what's the problem? I won't be teaching my children. They won't see the candles. What do? This is a big debate. We're going to read about it right now in page 276. Waiting for a family member. It's section 7 in chapter 13. In many families, the question arises as to the appropriate procedure when one's spouse cannot make it home for work by tzeit. Is it better to light at tzeit or to wait for his or her return? Technically, it is not necessary for both spouses to be present for candle lighting. When either of them lights candles in their home, they have fulfilled their obligation. Therefore, it would seem preferable for one to light at tzeit. Tzeit stands for tzeit hakochavim, the coming out of the stars. Nevertheless, in practice, it is preferable in most cases to wait for the spouse to return home. In general, there are three primary considerations that would lead us to delay candle lighting until both spouses are home. What are the reasons? Number one, first, if the husband will not hear the brachot of candle lighting at the synagogue or elsewhere. Although he will have fulfilled the obligation to light through his wife's lighting, some maintain that as long as he has not heard the bracha of Shas HaNisim, he has not fulfilled his duty to thank Hashem. Therefore, if there is nowhere else for him to hear the brachot, it is preferable to wait for him. Same is true if the wife is not home at tzeit and the husband is waiting. As we said the other day, women are obligated equally to men in lighting the Hanukkah candles. Second, the husband or wife may feel insulted or upset if the candles were lit without them. And third, there may be a concern that the connection of the absent spouse to the mitzvah will be weakened. This consideration is pertinent when one spouse regularly comes home late for work. One will not be present for candle lighting on all or most of the days of the holiday. One's connection to the mitzvah is liable to be weakened. Third consideration is particularly significant with families that follow the Sephardic custom, according to which only one member of each household lights. When there is concern that if the parents do not wait for the children to return home for lighting, the children's connection to the mitzvah may weaken. The parents should wait for them. Thus, the only case in which it is preferable to light the candles at tzeit, if the delayed husband or wife will be able to hear the brachot elsewhere, and if this delay is an isolated occurrence, will not cause marital discord or weaken the absent spouse's bond with the mitzvah. In all other cases, it is better to wait for both spouses, and in the case of Sephardim, for all members of the household to be home. However, even then, candle lighting should not be delayed past 9 p.m. because people are just not going to be around. Members of the household should not eat a proper meal from half an hour before tzeit until after they have fulfilled the mitzvah of candle lighting. So there are many considerations to take into account and make sure that nobody feels hurt or slighted or not connected to the mitzvot, because you want to be careful about the lighting right on time. For Hanukkah candles, it makes a lot of sense to delay, because nowadays people are out and about much past the nightfall. It's 5 p.m. Yeah.
Suppose I have a family with 4 children, just an example, and my wife is not at home at the time when I want to light the candles because she's working. Is it okay when I lit the lights, the Hanukkah with my children, and later on when she's coming home, she do it by her own?
As we said, the considerations are 3.
Okay.
If she's not going to be offended, and she won't feel left out, and if she lights her own Chanukiah, then fine. That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Question number 2. Sometimes we have these children. Ima is not in home. I will lit the candles for her at her Hanukkah. Then it's already done. Can the wife, when she's coming home, do it over?
It's up to her. If she had in mind, if she had intention to fulfill the mitzvah, or like Stephen asked, if she appointed someone to do the mitzvah for her behalf, and she can't do it herself later on, she's already fulfilled the mitzvah. But if she didn't have in mind, just because somebody lit her Chanukiah, doesn't force her to lose out on her mitzvah. She didn't have in mind, she didn't appoint anybody. She has to light when she comes home.
Okay.
Okay? Let's continue to number 8, page 278. Lighting before Shkia or late at night in pressing circumstances. This is option number 1 and option number 2 I mentioned to Ravid's question. One who was unable to light Hanukkah candles by 9 p.m. may light all night until dawn. It's a radical halacha. However, he should recite the brachot only if it is very likely that someone on the street will see his candles, or if someone at home, such as his wife or children, will see them. If, however, his family members have gone to sleep and would be upset if he were to wake them, some people don't like to be woken up in the middle of sleep. Are you like that? And it is unlikely that anyone will see his candles from the street. He should light without the brachot. Where I live, I think you can light all night long. You know why? We have a security patrol. They're all night long. They're driving around the yeshuv. They'll see my candles even if I light them at 3 a.m. There's always somebody around.
Very good.
So you don't have to. In most cities, I think also there's usually someone around. Yeah?
Use the Kindle, use the night of Kindle after 9 o'clock. Transmit night until dawn.
I believe you must light the candles for sure. The question is, should you say a bracha? For sure you light. The question is if you say a bracha. I think you say a bracha all night long. Even if you yourself, there is such an opinion that even if you are by yourself, you can still say the bracha and you publicize the miracle for yourself. Okay? Now, there is, as I said, an option of lighting before sunset, about, I said it's an hour and a quarter of relative hours, works out to be 40 minutes earlier. What happens on Shabbat? Let's go back to the section we skipped. It's section 5. It's on page 274. On section 5, page 274. All right, we're going to learn about lighting Hanukkah candles and Shabbat candles. The timing must be different. Why? Because what?
After when Shabbat starts, you cannot light.
When does Shabbat start?
The Shkia, 40 minutes after candle lighting.
The Shkia, the sunset.
Yeah.
Shabbat starts. But we just said the mitzvah of lighting candles only starts after Shkia. Some people say even after Tzeit. Most people say you should wait even 20 minutes after sunset. So on Shabbat, you shouldn't be lighting a candle after sunset. What do? You're not allowed to light the Hanukkah candles. Here we have to rely on that opinion which says even an hour and a quarter before sunset is considered to be dark. It's considered to be nighttime. And let's read it inside. Okay? Top of page 274. Eitan, read for us, please.
Friday evening and Saturday night. As we have seen, the sages ordinate that one must light the Hanukkah candles after sunset. If people wear the light early, that the sunlight will render the candles less visible. However, on Shabbat evening, obviously, one may not light candles after sunset. Since Shabbat begins at sunset and on Shabbat, one may not light a fire. In addition, one shall not light immediately before sunset because of the mitzvah of Tosefet Shabbat.
That means adding on to the Shabbat. Yeah.
Which indicates that we begin Shabbat a bit earlier. In order to extend the sanctity of Shabbat into the
Mundane. Means like regular week.
mundane week. In practice, most Israeli communities accept Shabbat about 20 minutes before sunset. And accordingly, this is the Shabbat candlelighting time that appears on Israeli calendars. On Shabbat Hanukkah, one must light Hanukkah candles before lighting the Shabbat candles. Although we light Hanukkah candles before sunset on Friday, primary time for publicly lighting the miracle is at night. Therefore, one must make sure that there is sufficient wax or oil for the candles to remain lit until half an hour after sale.
Okay, so let me show this on the board. On Fridays, the custom is, I'll erase our sunrise to give us more time. Sunrise is much earlier. We have the Shabbat candles. We light the candles for Shabbat. 20 minutes, or in Jerusalem, 40 minutes before sunset. We add on to the Shabbat. So this is candle lighting time, right? Shabbat candles. So we can't light immediately before Shkia. We have to light 20 minutes before Shkia. And the Hanukkah candles should be lit even before that. Okay? So if you're in Jerusalem, you're going to be lighting 40 minutes before sunset. 45 minutes, because you need 5 minutes to light the Hanukkah candles. And then right away, you're going to be lighting the Shabbat candles. So you have to put in oil that's going to last the 40 minutes, and then a half an hour. So that's how much? More than 2 hours. You need much different candles. The little colorful candles, blue, red, yellow in the box, cannot use them for Friday night. Friday night, they'll go out before it even gets dark. They'll go out after half an hour. They last half an hour. That's fine for a regular night, but not for Friday night. Friday night, you need to be bigger candles, bigger wax candles, or more oil. Fill up the oil to the top. It'll last for 2 hours, and you're okay. Is that clear?
20 minutes before Shabbat candles, you light the Hanukkah candles.
Nope. No. As long as it takes. Could be 5 minutes, right? This is 24, this is 5 minutes. Right, so 20 plus 5, or 40 plus 5 if you're in Jerusalem. In Haifa, I think it's 30 minutes. So it's 30 plus 5. Whatever the standard is in your city of lighting the candles before sunset, you do 5 minutes before that, you light the Hanukkah candles.
Here in Jerusalem, like where we live here.
It's 40 minutes.
Yes, but it's very easy. You only need to listen to the music.
Ah, sweet.
And they give exactly the time, 20 minutes before the sunset, and then, no, I need to light my candles.
20 or 40? In Jerusalem, it's 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes, yes.
Why is it 40, bro?
Why? To be stringent. To be stringent. To make more. It's a holy city, isn't it? But they want more holiness. Extend the holiness of the Shabbat. It's a stringency. There are different opinions. Some people say half an hour, some people 40 minutes, some people 20 minutes. Standard in most of the world is about 20 minutes. Some say 18 minutes. It's different opinions. But, of course, we have to light the candles before we light the Shabbat candles. The Hanukkah candles before Shabbat candles, right? Because then you can't light once you accept. Now, the truth is, when do the prohibitions of Shabbat begin? When does Shabbat really, really start?
1 minute past 4. This week.
So it depends who. You'd think Shabbat is the same for everybody. Usually it's not. There's two major groups who celebrate Shabbat differently. You know what they're called? What are they called? Men and women.
Beautiful.
Why? Because two reasons. One is that most men daven mincha. You're supposed to daven mincha, supposed to daven 3 prayers a day, especially in a minyan. Whereas most women maybe daven only shacharit and not mincha, or only shacharit and mincha, not marv. They don't have the obligation to daven with the minyan. So that's one difference, is about mincha. Second difference is that who actually, if you're married, who lights the candles?
The woman.
The women light the candles.
So
That's right.
they need to prepare.
And if you're not married, your mother lights the candles. But if your mother doesn't light the candles and your wife doesn't light the candles, then you yourself light the candles. But usually it's a mitzvah on the women. So the custom is as follows. Women who light the candles 20 minutes before sunset, 40 minutes before sunset, whatever it is in that city, whatever your community does, when the women light the candles, they accept Shabbat on themselves. But me, the man, if I accept Shabbat 40 minutes before sunset, I won't be able to daven mincha in shul. They daven mincha right before, after that 40 minutes. They daven mincha right before sunset. Most shuls. They push it off, especially on the short Fridays we have in the winter, they push it off. And so, if I have to daven mincha over here, I can't really accept the Shabbat when my wife lights the candles. So for her it's Shabbat, and for me it's not Shabbat. This happens every week. Sometimes, it's very interesting halacha. If she notices after she's lit the candles, oh, the light is still on over there, she's allowed to ask me to turn on the light or to turn it off. Because for me, it's not Shabbat. I didn't light the candles, she lit the candles. So this is halachically the way it works, that women accept the Shabbat when they light the candles. Now men, they can accept the Shabbat earlier, but usually they want to daven mincha afterwards, and so they don't accept the Shabbat until when? When do I start my Shabbat?
Tehillim 92.
Very good, Tehillim 92, or what did you say?
Sunset.
Sunset, yes, but there is a mitzvah to add on to the Shabbat, so I try to make sure that every Shabbat, 1 minute before sunset, I say, I accept upon myself the Shabbat. You know what happens in most communities? We start davening Kabbalat Shabbat Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Kabbalah, lekabel, to accept upon yourself the Shabbat. When the community sings the Kabbalah Shabbat, even before Lecha dodi, they say, Mizmor shir liyom Shabbat tov. Right? So that song is a form of accepting the Shabbat. You have to make sure that your community is saying that before sunset, at least 1 minute. To have a little bit of an addition from the weekdays onto the Shabbat. We want to add onto the Shabbat. But that's when I accept Shabbat. After I've davened Mincha, maybe 5 minutes before sunset, maybe 1 minute before sunset. In some shuls, they don't even make it to sunset. They don't start davening Kabbalat Shabbat early enough. It's a problem. So personally, I take it upon myself. I look to see when's 4:40, and at least by 4:39, I accept upon myself the Shabbat. So but my wife, she accepted Shabbat 20 minutes earlier. In Tekoa, it's only 20 minutes. 20 minutes, when she lit the candles. But I don't accept Shabbat when she accepted Shabbat. Because I have to go daven Mincha still. I have 20 minutes, a little window in which to daven, Mincha. Okay,
Let's say
yeah.
our community, they didn't accept exactly at the time or later. So
20 is standard.
Yeah, so we say it upon ourselves, or
Yeah.
we accept the Shabbat.
Yeah. If you're alone, you should accept the Shabbat 20 minutes before Shkia is ideal. But when you light the candles, if you need to daven, you're allowed to daven Mincha early. If you're not going to have a minyan anyways. My wife davens Mincha every day. Like the Mishnah Berurah says, many poskim say, women should pray twice a day. Not 3 times a day. Mariv is different, but twice a day. So she davens Mincha, but she's very careful. Before she lights the candles, she davens Mincha at home, by herself. She doesn't go to minyan. Minyan is an obligation on the men. So she davens Mincha before she lights the candles. I daven Mincha after she lights the candles. And I go to shul. Is that clear? Is that clear? Yeah? Got it? Yes, Rabbi.
In our home we have a habit, I like this. Before I go to shul to pray in Mincha, I prepare everything for her to light the candles.
Excellent.
So I put everything down. She only needs to light the candles.
It's a beautiful,
so
beautiful
for
custom.
me, it's a part to be together when she's going to light the candles.
Absolutely. It's actually a mitzvah. It's brought down amongst the poskim that the men have a mitzvah to light candles as well as the women. We just don't because our wives do it or our mothers do it. But we should try to participate in the mitzvah somewhat. And so in most, I think many homes, the husband sets up the candles. Nowadays with wax candles, it's not so hard to set them up. But in the ancient times, sometimes you would, you pour in the oil and you make the wick, and then sometimes you need to singe the wick. Turn it on so that it lights easily. You sort of pre-light the candle. And then when it lights very quickly for the woman. So that's a common custom. It's a good custom. It's a good custom for the man to participate in the mitzvah of lighting Shabbat candles. Not only once a year do the men light candles on Hanukkah, but every Shabbat. We have an obligation. Our mothers and our wives, they do it for us. But ideally, you should be aware that you have a mitzvah and you should participate. So you can prepare, put out the candles, you can pour the oil, you can pre-light, and then you blow it out. And then she lights it for the mitzvah. There's many different ways to prepare. I have a student here who when he prepares the candles? Motzei Shabbat. As soon as Shabbat is over, he prepares the candles for the next week. Wants to be ready. Always ready for Shabbat. Can't get any earlier than that.
Exactly.
Amazing. Tov. That's when Shabbat begins. Hanukkah and Erev Shabbat, you have to use special candles, longer, bigger candles, or more oil. and you light before you light the Shabbat candles. Now I said here, Eitan, I said 5 minutes. It depends. If there are 10 people in the house and each one's lighting a Chanukiah, it could take 10 minutes, could take 20 minutes. However long it takes. I just said 5 minutes because that's, practically how long, What about Motzei Shabbat?
Yes.
Motzei Shabbat. Take a look on page 274. On 274, at the bottom of the page, it says, on Motzei Shabbat, one must first pray Marv, and then light the candles. Many people also make Havdalah before lighting, because Havdalah concludes Shabbat, where the candles of the Hanukkah candles belong to the upcoming day. This is the most common custom, I believe, is that we make Havdalah first, finish with Shabbat, and then, and only then, do we light the Hanukkah candles. Others light Hanukkah candles before Havdalah in order to light as soon as possible, after Tzeit. Right, the time for lighting candles, we said. Really, it's a Shkia. Tzeit is the earliest that you're going to be able to light when the Shabbat is over. But as soon as Shabbat is over, we have a small window of opportunity. That's the original custom. So some people want to light Hanukkah candles right away. Nevertheless, in order for the lighting candles to be permissible, before Havdalah, one must recite either Atachon Antanu during the Amidah of Mariv, or the phrase Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol. Everybody repeat after me 5 words. 5 words. You ready? Israel, you ready? Baruch, Ravid, you ready? Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol. 5 words. That's the shortest Havdalah in the world.
After the Hanukkah.
After Shabbat. Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol. Many times, I'll tell you why. My wife says this every Shabbat.
Every Shabbat.
Every Motzei Shabbat.
No, still.
Why? Still now, why?
To turn off the lights and then to the Havdalah.
How can she light the Havdalah candle if she didn't do Havdalah? So I don't have to because I say Ma'ariv. In Ma'ariv, I add the Atachon Antanu, which is a form of Havdalah. So there's 3 forms of Havdalah. Everybody knows the form of Havdalah when you have a cup of wine. But there's also a form of Havdalah in the Amidah, in the Mariv. You add in a special prayer for Motzei Shabbat. That's Havdalah. The third, we just learned it. It's the shortest. Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol.
What is Lechol?
Chol is weekday. Mundane, weekdays. Chol. Weekday.
Because
Baruch, between, Blessed is he who separates, Mavdil, Bein, between, Kodesh, holy, and secular, holy, secular, and mundane. Okay? 5 words. That's a good trick. Even for a man sometimes. If you didn't daven Mariv yet, and I lived in Canada, the shul was about a 20-minute walk. Okay, you walk, what can you do? But it was snowing. On Shabbat, you walk. You're not allowed to drive on Shabbat. But Motzei Shabbat, I can drive already. So you want to walk in the freezing cold snow for 20 minutes? So I wanted to jump in the car and drive to shul. But I didn't make Havdalah yet. So I didn't say Arvit yet. 5 words. Baruch, Mavdil, Ben, Kodesh L'Chol. You can do Melacha. Even though you didn't daven Mariv yet. Go to Mariv, daven Mariv, come home. Make the Havdalah. And you have all 3 types of Havdalah on 1 week. 1 Motzei Shabbat. Yeah?
But if you say the sentence, afterwards you need to do the candlelight.
Correct. There's still a mitzvah to recite the Havdalah with a cup of wine, and with, of course, the candle, and the besamim. Still a mitzvah to do it afterwards, for sure. Not only that, not only is it a mitzvah, I don't want you to get confused and think that they are all equal. These 3 types of Havdalah. What are the three types? Havdalah and a cup of wine, Havdalah and Amidah in the prayer, and the 5 words sentence. They're not all equal. You know what the major difference is? Only Havdalah on the cup of wine allows you to then eat and drink. You're not allowed to eat and drink before Havdalah on a cup of wine. Even if you said Baruch HaMavdil Ben Kodesh L'Chol, you can drive your car. You can light a candle. You said Atach Wanantanu, you can light the candle.
What's about the
But you cannot eat or drink. Bisamim, of course, you could. That's fine. That's not prohibited. The problem is eating and drinking. You might forget Havdalah. You might get drunk. Who knows? So you're not allowed to eat and drink unless till you make the Havdalah in a cup of wine. Even let's say it's Motzei Shabbat. We're talking about the laws of Shabbat now, not the laws of Hanukkah. But it's okay. Let's say it's Motzei Shabbat, and you're at home, and you realize that on Shabbat you had such a big party. And you enjoyed oneg Shabbat. You did the mitzvah so well, delighting in the Shabbat. There's no more wine. There's no more wine, and there's no more grape juice,
Beer,
and there's no more beer,
water.
and you can't make havdalah on water. You can't make havdalah on water. It has to be a special drink. Juice, some people say is kosher, but milk, some people say is kosher. It has to be something that you would serve to a dignitary.
And water with syrup, how you call it?
Most people wouldn't serve that to an important person. So it has to be usually an alcoholic drink, or some people say a cup of coffee is a dignified drink. Nowadays, you would offer somebody who's a guest, an important guest. Maybe. But let's say you don't have anything. You drank everything. Your house is empty. No more, and all the stores are closed. You're on a desert island, okay? For some reason, you don't have anything to make Havdalah on. What do?
Water, I think.
You can't use water.
But if you only use...
Let's say you don't have water, okay? You don't, whatever, we're not going to get into the details of the laws. There's no beverage, no drinking, okay? You're in the army. On a base, you're doing shmirah, you're doing guard duty somewhere, and there's no wine, and there's no water, there's nothing. Can't make havdalah.
I know.
But what do you do? What do you do? So what's the solution?
I know, you say the 5 words.
5 words.
You wait till tomorrow, you buy grape juice, and then make tomorrow after that.
Exactly. You're allowed to make havdalah and a cup of wine even until Tuesday. All day Sunday, all day Monday, you had no wine, you forgot. Even on Tuesday, you're allowed to make havdalah with a cup of wine.
But you can eat and drink after?
That's the problem. You're not allowed to eat and drink
Yes.
until you have the cup of wine. So what are you going to fast?
Yeah.
For 3 days? That's right. Okay, Eitan's going to fast.
Bro, I want to ask
No, the halacha applies only for the nighttime. All night. Saturday night, you can't have your pizza, or you can't have your Saturday night snacks. But by the next morning already, if you don't have wine, you're allowed to eat. But you still have to make havdalah when you get the cup of wine, but up until Tuesday. Okay?
I have a question, Rob.
Yeah.
Rob, when we do havdalah, we must put our hand like this, the cup on top of our head, is it? Or
That's the custom, yeah. There's many rules, many details about every little ritual performance. And the cup, most people hold the cup like this.
okay.
You see many people that hold the cup in their palm. Why is that?
Yes.
Well, primarily based on Kabbalah. There's a beautiful book by Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz. It's called The 13-Petaled Rose. The rose that has 13 petals. There he describes the worldview of Judaism based on Kabbalah. It's a beautiful book. And so the Kabbalists say that your fingers coming up here around the cup are like the petals of a rose. And so you're sort of I don't know all the secrets, exactly what it means, but it's a special way to hold the cup to show it honor and respect. So many people hold it from underneath, although it's totally kosher if you hold it like this. It's still fine. It's just the custom based on Kabbalah.
I
Yeah,
do it, but I
yeah.
never
You
heard
never.
the meaning.
Yeah, it's like a rose. Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
like a rose. Yeah, yeah. Many different elements of holiness, spirituality coming to us
No,
through
it will
this
be
cup
much
of wine.
stronger.
All right, good, good, good. All right. What are you going to do about Havdalah and lighting Hanukkah candles? Which custom are you going to do? He says, gives you a choice here.
I do the first one, I know.
First Havdalah,
Yes.
and only then Hanukkah candles. I think conceptually it makes a lot of sense.
It's more proper.
Finish with Shabbat, and then you start the Hanukkah candles. As I said, especially nowadays, the timing of this small window of opportunity is not relevant, because 5 p.m. is not the end of the day. The end of the day is 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. 9 p.m. you're going to be watching the Mondial. So you're for sure you're still awake. You're still up. People are out and about. I'd say the last time you can light the Hanukkah candles is 11:30. You know why? Because the game finishes at 11. And everybody goes home from watching the game with their friends. And you see there's lots of traffic at 11 o'clock at night. By 11:30, it's finished. That's it. Everybody's asleep. Yeah.
But also Moshe Shabbat is also like this, you do Havdalah and then Hanukkah candles.
That's what we're talking about.
And then all the guests from Shabbat go, so you can also see the candles. As they go back to home.
Very nice. So let's talk about guests. It's exactly, we have one more topic to cover, or a few more topics, and that's guests. The question is, what about guests? When you're a guest at somebody else's house, where do they light candles? If they're going home, you guys are all going to be on a tiyul next week, so I want to cover that. But first, I want to give you some fun things. Okay? First fun thing is to give these out, please. I found these at home, and I thought you might enjoy it. These are some children's songs. Oh, you have 5 there.
I know this. I learned this in Holland.
Yeah, exactly. That's enough. Bring it back.
The dreidel song?
Yeah, you know these songs?
Yeah,
Let's start from the top. Let's see if you know it. I have a little dreidel. It's an English song. I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready. This is plastic. It has a lovely body with legs so short and thin, and when my dreidel's tired, it drops and then I win. My dreidel's always playful, it loves to dance and spin. A happy game of dreidel, come play, now let's begin. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, then dreidel I'll show play. Cute little tune, English song, it's cute. The next one is in Yiddish, on the left-hand side. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, Yontif Hashem. Oh, it's not this. Oh, they have this in Hebrew. This is Hebrew, but it's written in English words. I was singing a Yiddish song, but I don't even know all the words. But Yontif Hashem is a beautiful holiday. Yom Tov is Yom Tov. Yeah. Anyways, this song is from Hebrew. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, Chag Yafeh. כל כך אור חביב מסביב גיל לילד רך חנוכה חנוכה סביבון סוף 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 מנעים וטוב. When the Jewish people came back to the land of Israel about 100 years ago, they decided that everybody should speak Hebrew. Nobody spoke Hebrew. In Persian, they spoke Persian. And in prayers, they used Hebrew. In Germany, they spoke German or Yiddish. And in the prayers, they spoke Hebrew. And when they learned the Tanakh, they knew Hebrew, but they didn't speak Hebrew. Nobody spoke Hebrew, so there were no songs. So the early Zionists, Eliezer ben Yehuda and his group, they made up songs in Hebrew for Hanukkah, for the children. And this is one of them. You can see the Hebrew writing on the right-hand side. It's the same song. Sov means?
Spin.
Spin, exactly. Listovev, spin. You can see here. Dreidel, spin, spin, spin. How wonderful. The translation's there. It should be Hanukkah is a great holiday. Chag yafeh kol kach. So beautiful. Or chaviv. What's or? Light. What's chaviv? Lovely. A lovely light. Misaviv. It's around you. Gil leyeled rach. Gil means joy, fun for the young children, little children. It is, we try to make the holidays fun for all ages. Okay, so this is a cute Israeli modern song. Another one you might have heard is the next one about the Sevivon. Sov, sov, sov. Hanukkah hu chag tov. Hanukkah hu chag tov. Sevivon. Sov, sov, sov. Chag simcha hu la'am. Nes gadol haya sham. Nes gadol haya sham. Chag simcha hu la'am. Nes gadol haya sham. See, remember I brought this in yesterday?
Yes.
The four, excuse me, the four sides of the Sevivon in Israel. It says Nes Gadol Haya Po. Po is here. Sham is over there. Nes Gadol Haya Sham. So this is a cute little Sov Chanukah songs. Okay, now another fun thing I have for you. This is for you to take home and play with your children. Pass them around, please. This is a word find. If you're working on your Hebrew, actually you have to circle the words. At the bottom, there's a list of words. You have to find these words inside here. They can be forward, backwards, diagonal, across, down. And there are two more words hidden. Maccabi and Hanukkah are also hidden in here. I started it. You can see how I started it. It's very cute. And you can find all the words. Have your children find the words. It gives you good practice with the Hebrew letters and the Hebrew words. Just translate all the words at the bottom. What are the words at the bottom? Kad shemen. Kad is a jug of oil. Kad. Kad is a jug. Shemen is oil. What does that have to do with Hanukkah? What does it have to do with Hanukkah? Well, a jug of oil, a small jug, a container of oil. What miracle?
They found the oil.
They found the one jug of oil that had the seal of the Kohen Gadol. Next, Modi'in.
Is that in the city?
It's a city called Modi'in. Exactly. Why does it have to do with Hanukkah?
Yes. I read the name Modin in the book.
That's where the Maccabim lived. That was the center of the headquarters of the rebellion. That's where Matityahu and his 5 sons lived, in the area of Maccabim. Modi'in. And today it's a big city, of course. Not far from Jerusalem, just north of Jerusalem. Next word is Sevivon.
Idol.
Yeah, Daidel. Okay. Hamaccabim, the Maccabees. Good. Nes Chanukah. Nes?
Wonder.
Miracle.
Miracle.
Yafeh. Ma'ot Chanukah. We spoke about that, didn't we? Ma'ot is money. What did we call it? Hanukkah geld. Hanukkah geld. Geld. It's money. Geld, okay.
Geld is Hollandisch.
Geld in Hollandisch. Hanukkah geld. It sounds even better
How do you spell
than
that?
Hanukkah geld.
How do you spell that?
In Yiddish, I say geld. G-E-L-T, but it means money. Ma'ot means money. Leviva. What's a leviva?
Leviva.
So the truth is, I just learned this not long ago. Everybody knows the Hanukkah food is the sufganiya, right? That's the donut with jelly inside or something else inside. Now they have chocolate and they have sprinkles, all sorts of shapes and designs you can make. But there's another food that I grew up with, which is latkes. Latkes is potato patties, right, fried up in oil. It's also food made with oil. Oil reminds us of the miracle. I always thought that the Hebrew word, latkes is Yiddish. The Hebrew word for these potato patties is leviva. Leviva. But it turns out a leviva is not exactly a latka. A leviva is sweet, usually. It is like a sweet patty. Maybe it's made with more flour and less potatoes. But a leviva is a form of a sufganiya. It's a Hanukkah food made with oil. It's fried in oil. That's the main thing. But next, Yehuda HaMaccabi. Who's he?
The leader.
That's right. The leader of the revolt. One of the 5 brothers. Yerushalayim. What does Yerushalayim have to do with Hanukkah?
A lot, because the temple stood in Jerusalem.
And
That's what
part of the rebellion was
in Jerusalem.
to purify the temple in Yerushalayim, of course. Elazar.
Elazar.
Do you know there's a town called Elazar,
Yes.
south of Jerusalem?
On the way to Efrat.
On the way to Efrat, exactly. You pass it by when you come to Jerusalem. That's where Elazar died in battle. He was one of the 5 brothers. He died. It was trampled by a elephant. Elazar. Next word is nitzachon. What does nitzachon mean? Victory. Victory. We're celebrating the victory of the Maccabees over the Greeks.
Nitzachon. So it was from Netzach.
That's right. Netzach means forever. Means to win. Means to be victorious, and it also means eternal. Netzach means eternality as well. Next, Yochanan, another brother. Shimon, another brother. So far we have 4 names, right? Yehuda, Elazar, Yochanan, and Shimon. Who was the 5th brother? I can't remember. There were 5 sons of Matitya.
River. I guess.
I don't know. All right, we'll have to keep looking. Next, Sufganiyot. What does that mean? It means a lot of calories. Nerot, candles, of course. Next column now. Nes, we said before, means miracle. Pach.
Garbage.
That it is in modern Hebrew. We use pach for a garbage receptacle. But pach means a small container.
Okay.
So it's equivalent to what we said in the first one. Kad shemen, we said is a jug of oil. Pach shemen is another way of saying the same thing. Also means a small container of oil. You can buy pach shemen. Sometimes they sell the olive oil, in metal containers with 5 liters or 20 liters. They can buy big metal containers. They're called pach. Pach in modern Hebrew means sheet metal. Anyways, nes pach Hashem means, in this context, it means the miracle of the small cruse. In English, some people say, instead of the jug of oil, they say it's a cruse of oil. It's a small little container. Okay, next, riva, or riba. Riba is jelly, I guess, from the Sufganiyot. Antiochus.
The other brother.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
The enemy.
The enemy.
Evil guy.
The Greek king. Antiochus.
Epiphanes.
That's right, the Syrian Greek king. Nes gadol haya po. What does that mean? You should know.
It happened here.
That's right, that's the letters of the Sevivon. A great miracle happened here. Nes gadol haya po. Yevanim. Antiochus is the name of the Greek enemy. the general, into Yochos. Okay? Nes Gadol היה פה יוונים. יוונים?
יוונים.
The Greek, exactly. You see how it's spelled, and you learn if you find it inside the jumble. Next, you have Matityahu.
The other brother.
Is the father.
He's the father.
From the brothers.
The father of the 5 brothers. I don't know what the 5th one's name is. I can't remember right now. And Beit HaMikdash, of course, you know what that is. And Chanukiah is a candelabra that has 8 branches. What's the difference between a Chanukiah and a menorah?
The difference?
Yeah, most people don't even know there's a difference.
Eight.
8 and 7.
That's right. The menorah in the Beit HaMikdash had 7 candles. 7 branches. The menorah, that is the symbol of the state of Israel. 7 branches. The Chanukiah has, for the holiday of Hanukkah, has 8 branches. Anyways, you could have fun with this later, with your children, with your friends, and practice your Hebrew spelling.
Yeah, the other brother's name is Yochanan.
It's in here. That was one of the 4.
Shimon.
It's in there.
That's from
What else? Look it up.
Yeah.
Hanukkah Monday.
Jonathan.
צריך לתת ילדים, kids.
There is a custom. There is a custom, but it's not an obligation. I think it depends on your child. If your children is expecting a gift, your daughter? Yeah. Many families have a custom to give gifts on Hanukkah. You don't have to, but you don't want to disappoint the children. Yesterday I went out and I bought a very expensive gift for my grandson. No, a lot of guilt. Because my grandson, he plays drums all day long on the couch, on the table, on the chair. He takes sticks. So I bought him a little drum set so that he should drum on proper drums. But it was more expensive than I wanted it to be. But he's my oldest grandchild. I'm going to be a little bit weak, weak-hearted.
I was a little boy, but
you had a drum set?
No.
Ah,
I went to the kitchen.
that's
to
right.
all
That's what he does. Exactly. That's what he does all day long.
I have been very happy.
He's happy too, but he wants a drum set, and I decided to give him a gift for Hanukkah. But you don't have to.
No.
Saba, that's it. Saba. Anyways, this is. But there is a Jewish tradition of giving Hanukkah geld, giving coins. But you don't have to. You know,
In Israel, only in the Hanukkah can give the children can give children money. Only in the Hanukkah or the Purim is okay.
You can give your children money all the time. Why not? Whenever you want, you give your children money. I don't understand the question.
My friend don't allow us to give.
Why?
children money.
Why?
Lawyer there.
Okay, neither do I. Ask him. Money, maybe people, there's a problem today. There is a problem with money. Some people bow down to money. So it could be Avodah Zarah. You don't want to teach your children.
Ask the morning, the children ask the friend for money.
You have to teach children how to properly use money and how to understand what the value of money, but there's no official rule.
But what is the main reason we give Hanukkah geld to the children?
We discussed it before. The bottom line is I don't really know. Nobody really knows. I have three guesses. Three guesses. One guess is to make them happy. Another guess is that money is connected to the halacha mentions that we don't use the candles of the Chanukiah for any use. We're not allowed to read by their light, but the halacha says you're not allowed to count money by their light. So maybe that's where the custom came from, that we give out money on Hanukkah. And the third reason is because the kids would be jealous from the Christmas gifts of the neighbors.
Wow.
Maybe that's why the custom developed.
I'd like to add number 4.
What's number 4?
When I have money, also my salary, I need to know it's not my money. Money is coming from Hashem. And the money I will have, I need to use it to give tzedakah.
It's beautiful, but why Hanukkah?
And
Why on Hanukkah? What's the connection to Hanukkah?
To learn the church to give tzedakah. Use it to give it to the...
It's always good to educate, but yeah, I'll say one more reason. The halacha says every Jew must light Hanukkah candles, even if you're poor and you don't have enough money. You have to sell the shirt off your back to take money and buy a candle. And so we don't want anybody to sell their shirt. So giving tzedakah on Hanukkah is part of the idea that everybody has to have enough money to light the Hanukkah candles, to publicize the miracle. So maybe that's another reason why we give tzedakah, and maybe the children were jealous. I don't know exactly why this custom of... what did we have here the other day?
But
We had chocolate coins.
Right.
You don't have to give money.
But we also give presents to our friends.
That's I think a social custom. It's not a halacha. It's not a halacha.
Okay. To make a box with food and wine. And,
That's on Purim. That's on Purim. Not on Hanukkah. On Purim, you go out and give gifts, food packages.
Don't do it on Hanukkah?
No.
Okay.
No. You can. Some people do give gifts. It becomes a real... Socially, it has become quite popular that people give each other gifts on Hanukkah, but that's not a Jewish custom, really. But how to teach your children about money, some people say you should give them a little bit of allowance. Depends what age they are. Allowance, it means every week you get 5 shekels. Every week you get 10 shekels. Then the child learns, I could buy a piece of candy costs 1 shekel, and to buy another candy is 1.5 shekels, and I don't have any left. Wait till next week. So you learn how to use money. But this is education already. Some people say, keep children away from money till they're older, till they have to. Money's bad. In the old world, if you wanted some milk, so you took some vegetables that you had. Your friend didn't have vegetables, and you switched. It's called barter in English. This is more healthy than money. What's money? It's just a piece of paper or a coin. It's nothing. Nowadays, it's even in your digital. It's digital. There's no money. So it's not, people say it's not as healthy as you give, you get, you give, you get, you exchange items. People are very against money, some people. So I don't know where you heard this, that you don't give money to children. I don't know.
I learned my daughters when they are little girls, they had a duty. Someone need to wash the dishes, someone need to took out the garbage, to give them something to do.
Chores.
At the end of the week, they will have a little bit money, but then they know because I worked.
Right. There are many systems to do chores and to pay them for chores. It depends. Yeah.
In Israel's custom, if I was invited to enter the wedding, the bar mitzvah, I need to give malot
Yes, yes, this is a custom. It is a custom that if you're invited to an event, to somebody, or even if you go to somewhere for Shabbat, you bring a gift. I know in China there's a lot of gift giving, right?
Yes.
A lot of gift giving in China. So in Israel it's not as much, but yeah, if you're invited to an event, like if you go to a wedding, you give a gift. You go to a bar mitzvah, you go to a party, you bring a gift. Now it's become socially acceptable, maybe even preferred. Instead of used to be, you go to a wedding, this person buys a pot, this person buys a tablecloth, the other person buys, a toaster, different things you need for a house.
And at the end
But-
of the day, you have 10 toasters.
Sometimes that's why it's not the. Some people prefer to give money as a gift. It used to be you bring a check, and sometimes you bring an envelope. You'll see it many weddings. They have at the entrance. They have a station for people to fill in their envelopes and give it. Instead of people prefer it sometimes. Instead of getting 10 toasters, you'll get 10 checks or 10 100 shekels bills or 200 shekels. So once you're giving money, the question is how much money to give. So it depends on your society, on the culture, on what the standard is. Some places they say you have to cover the amount that your meal is going to cost. Right? If you know that at a wedding a meal could cost 150 shekels, 200 shekels each plate, and you come, so you and your wife, you should give double that. 180 times 2, 360 shekels. Some people can't afford that, so they give less. Some people can afford more, they give more. It's really, there's no rules, but the unwritten rules, sort of, the standard is to cover your meal, but then it turns out to be more like, business, which I don't like. I like to bring gifts. But it works out cheaper and it's nicer. I have I have a standard gift. When you get married, expect no. I don't give gifts to my students that get married. I don't give gifts because I can't. It'll be too many, and usually I don't stay for the meal anyways. But when I go to a wedding, usually I buy a toolbox with a hammer and a screwdriver and all sorts of things you need around the house. And I make the joke, you should build a beautiful home. So that's my idea of a nice gift. And I have someone that says to me, after 10 years, I remember that you gave me the toolbox and it was such a useful gift. And so I think that's more personal. It's more personal, not because they'll remember me. I need them to remember me, but it's a nice idea to give something that people need and they care about. But again, maybe they'll get 10 toolboxes.
It's a beautiful idea. Tools to build your own home.
Yeah.
But many parties, I think many people didn't give
Really?
gift.
Maybe they're cheap.
No, not cheap. The wedding is the meal is expensive.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it means when the person is not generous. The opposite of being generous is to be cheap. I'm saying maybe some people they're not so giving, but it could be they give afterwards, they give before. Nowadays you can give digitally. You don't have to do an envelope, right? You can send them a bit transfer or a bank transfer. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
The problem how to count about we should add the must say 10% to more minimum 10%, no more 20% for the must say this must say.
Maaser, yes, maaser, yes.
And it should be count the every money. Just we talking about sometimes we will pay the people. Sometimes we pay money should be cut every money or just
It's a good question. So the mitzvah of tzedakah is when a poor person asks you for money, you give him money as much as you can. But there is a custom. Some people say it's a law. There's the debate about it.
yeah,
How much tzedakah must you give?
yeah,
The standard assumption that many people know of is there was in the Torah, there is a law when it comes to fruits and vegetables. Ma'aser comes from the word eser. Ma'aser is 1/10.
yeah,
You have to take off 1/10 and you give it to the Levi. That's what it says in the Torah. What about, I don't make vegetables. I get money in my bank account. Some people say you take off 10% of your money and you give it to tzedakah. There's a debate whether it's an obligation from the Torah, from the rabbis, or just an ancient Jewish custom. Who was the first one who gave off a tenth? A tenth of his earnings? Avraham. Avraham gave to Melchizedek, Vayiten lo ma'aser mikol, if I'm not mistaken. And even last week's parsha, Yaakov said, in Vayetze, if you save me, I'm going now, I'll give you a tenth. I'll give you a tenth. So this is a very ancient custom to give a tenth of your earnings. And the question is, what's considered your earnings? And I think that was your question, right? And who do you give it to is another good question. But to poor people, it's a very nice thing. You should make the calculation of how much income you have, and of that you take off 10%. Usually the rabbis say that it's usable income. In other words, if you have your standard expenses, like you have to pay your rent, and you have to pay for your health insurance, and you have to pay for taxes, you don't have to take off 10% off of that. It's only after your spendable income. What's left that you're going to buy, nice meat and wine for yourself. 10%.
Pay your duties.
After you paid all the things that you must pay for standard living, all that extra money, then you should take off 10%. That's what I do. And sometimes it can get complicated. But you don't have to give it all at once. In other words, the best thing is you take the 10% off. Let's say every month, if you get a monthly salary, you take 10% off. But you don't have a per person every day. You don't know. So you can make a separate account of your tzedakah money. Maybe it's a separate wallet. Maybe it's a bag if you have cash. I don't use cash so much. You have a separate account, and then whenever you decide to give your tzedakah, when you see a cause that you want to give to, you take from that account and you give it to them. Right? So you're not always making in your mind the calculation, 10%. You do that when you do your accounting, once a month, once a year, whatever it is, you make sure that 10% is going to go to tzedakah. Tzedakah can go to poor people, can go to yeshivot, can go to people fighting cancer, all sorts of good causes out there. Machon Meir is a very good cause, I think.
I did like this in Holland.
Yeah, you took off 10%? Beautiful, yes. Beautiful, yeah. There's a follow-up question, Israel.
Yes, I share a little bit. I think in the Jerusalem, in learning to give money, very good pace. How to say? Even inside the soul, sometimes you chuckle. We should pay. For example, you walk in the hotel.
Right.
Many people watch the gas. They are always sitting there every day.
Right.
I don't know. It's learning, but I also has very good experience. For example, just last about I went to the Sivat, yeah.
Yes.
And last dinner, I took one young man come here with me to say hi with me. I didn't know him. He come from Jerusalem also.
Okay.
But he told me before I leave another community in the tree, he told me I give him some money in the tree. He asked for the food.
Oh,
I forget that, but he told me I'm very joyful. This is
very nice.
Experience.
Very nice.
I think, and this about the money. This learning with Hashem is not my money. This Hashem money. And also, how to say, and I remember some people say, where your money, your heart is where. The money for the Hashem, your heart is the Hashem.
Yeah, nice. Very
It's
nice.
very good. Jerusalem is another place like Jerusalem. You know, Hong Kong very different. You know, Hong Kong even before the Corona, the mask, with the mask, I keep the mask. The people they don't want.
They're scared. Yeah.
Jerusalem, very good experience.
Wow.
Sometimes the Sabbath I went to hotel whole day, and after I don't want to walking. Yeah, before walking 1 hour more.
Sure.
Yeah, after finish the I come back, I say the railway station. I ask the people, I don't make money. I want to say something. Also very
They give you.
Yeah,
Very nice. Very
I
nice.
also how to as learning. I asked his name. I want to make the bread ham for you.
Very nice.
People I didn't know. But I want to learn. This is good learning about the money.
Right.
Not about how much money. I don't relate Hashem with the life, the soul, with the.
Beautiful.
Just do one time, learn more a little bit.
Sure,
One time,
sure.
more a little bit. It's very
There's a
just-
question. Let's say you have $100 to give to tzedakah. What's better? To give $100, a $100 bill, you find somebody and you give it to him? Or every day, for 100 days, give $1?
Last one.
Why?
Because you make every day one person happy. And
Nice.
you give
What
one
else?
time you make one people happy.
Okay. What else? What other? Why?
Depends, I think, because if let's say give this one time 100, but this channel may be giving more to many channels.
Right.
I think same.
It's the same. Doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. In the end, you gave $100 to tzedakah. I'll tell you what the rabbis tell us. Very interesting. They say it's better to give $1 a day. You know why? Because what Israel said. You're training yourself to be giving. Every day you're flexing that giving muscle. Not the muscle of taking, but the muscle of giving. And so you'll learn. I'm someone who gives. Every day you give. Give to someone else. And that's a very beautiful idea, Israel. Thank you. I just want to say that you're right. There's lots of people asking for tzedakah at the Kotel and different places. I want to warn you that not everybody is honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see people collecting tzedakah, and then they go around the corner and get into a Rolls Royce. Not everybody. So what I do is, and I think it's smart, I try to give, if I have coins, I usually don't have coins, but I try, if I had, give a little bit to anybody who asks. Because I don't know if he's honest or not honest, but that's not a big gift. It's not a lot of money. 10 agrot, 20 agrot. The big money I give after I know that this person is honest, this person has this need. Sometimes there's organizations who make it their business to check out and only to give to people properly. Sometimes you can give to someone money, he'll go buy drugs. Are you helping him? You're hurting him, right? So you have to know how to give. And so the big money, or larger sums, I would give only through an organization that you can trust, or if you know personally what the story is. But just to give to everybody, and then you're left with nothing. If I give everybody $100, then I won't have what to eat. Right? So give a little bit to train yourself to give. It's a beautiful idea. Michael, and then Rafi.
Yeah, because about giving tzedakah, sometimes I don't want to judge, but sometimes, can I think like, hey, so sometimes I see guys younger than me asking for tzedakah. Like older people, I'll be like, okay, but I'll be like, hey,
go get a job.
Not
Right.
Not job,
Right.
But obviously, I don't know. Maybe it's not.
There are
maybe
all
it's not
sorts of.
you, how do you think like that?
Right. Try not to judge, but of course, doesn't mean you have to support them.
Yeah.
Even though you maybe they have their system, but for you, so I try to train myself to give a little bit. But
Do you want to buy something? You have to to the car. I want to buy pizza.
Right. It's a shame. If
It's also a shame to ask. So
it's a shame, right? It's a shame that he should get better guidance to get a job to be. But some people, with all the guidance, things doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes he can't work. You never know. Maybe he's not. He can't hold down a job. Sometimes people need. So you give a little bit, but to give a lot of money, you really should check it out and don't waste your money.
I also ask how learning gain money. Some people, I also experienced in the cocktail and finish sahari. First time I was interesting, but people give me the 100 shekel.
They gave you money.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Interesting,
I gave, and also before in the Florida, and the guy, the big rabbi, he driving the car when I eating with my friend, two friends.
Okay. Yeah.
And other guy, the rabbi come here drive a very good car.
Okay.
He give me my friend $200 US.
Wow.
And then give me also 200. I said maybe you should take the money because, but I don't know if it should be taken. How to learning?
Maybe because he sees that you're from out of town, you're from a different country.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's very difficult. You don't have friends, you don't have family. Yeah. So maybe that's why he thought you needed some help. It's very nice of him, but it's strange to give to people who are not even asking. Ravid, you wanted to say something before?
Yeah.
No, we're good. All right, we'll continue. B'ezrat Hashem, finish the chapter maybe tomorrow. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay.
This one you want back?
No, you can keep it. I don't need it. So.